and excite us. Today's show is sponsored by Hasmark Publishing International. So whether you're here live or on replay, make sure you say hi in the comments because we want to know where you're coming in from. So tell us where you're coming in from. Today we are welcoming Janet-Lynn to the Author's Spotlight. Let me give you a little bit of information, background about Janet-Lynn. She's a mother, a business owner, an author, inspirational speaker, and more. She lives by the slogan, live impossibly. Don't you just love that? And states she has overcome so many impossible situations in her life, and that each one has taught her how to not only survive, but to thrive as she embraces the power of love and positivity. So without further ado, we bring Janet-Lynn into the show. Hey, Janet-Lynn, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much, Caren, and thank you for having me here on your wonderful show.
Well, I am just so excited to have you on the show. And first, before we even kick this off, I want to congratulate you on becoming an international bestseller for your book. How exciting is that? What did you celebrate?
I did celebrate. I'm still celebrating today. And, you know, a lot of people ask me about celebrating, and it's really wonderful to have a wonderful feeling inside of you. And that's really the best celebration, is just being very happy with my accomplishment. Yeah. And I'm so happy that the book's out there now. So thank you.
And I'm so excited that you're coming on and kind of sort of launching today as well, the book. So the book is called Forever is Today. And the first thing I'd like to really ask you is, tell me how the story first came to be. Did it start as an image or a voice or a concept dilemma? Did you wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning and say, I need to write a book? How did this come to be?
I've wanted to be an author my entire life, ever since I was a small girl. And I've been trying to think of an idea for a book that would be very engaging and something that's very different than what is already out there. So I'm an avid reader. I love movies, and I was thinking of the book as a movie. So I had an idea, and the inspiration behind the book is one of my daughters. I have 3, and my middle daughter has something going on with her, and I thought this would be a very interesting idea for a book. So I just kept thinking about it and thinking about it. I love to go out for nature walks and really think about things, and I kept inviting ideas to come to me. And so the day that I figured it out was an amazing day, and I ran home from my walk and I started to write, and I didn't stop. I wrote every day until I was done. 6 weeks later, it was finished. So it was wonderful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So once you knew what you were doing, you took off and did it. Your main characters, Joel and B. Now, B is your daughter. Is your daughter was the person that you had in the background as you decided to create that character? Who's Joel?
I would say that Joel is me. I think that he's narrating the book in first person. And I think that a lot of his ideas, a lot of his thoughts and emotion is really me. And we all become the people that we spend our most amount of time with, and the people that we love and keep in our lives are those people. So I would say that not only is it me, but it's little pieces of everybody in my life that I love. And the best parts of them are Joel.
What a wonderful legacy that you leave for your family. If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Janet-Lynn, and we're talking about her new book, Forever is Today. If you have any questions you want to ask, feel free to put them in the comments and we will put them up on the screen. Okay, so before we went live today, we were talking about how to read your book. And you said something really interesting. You said, you know, most people don't read the epilogue, and you want people to read the epilogue. How come?
I do very much. So you'd want to start with the prologue and start at chapter 1 after that and go right through the book. Something happens and you're left feeling that like something, like you know how the book is going to end. Mm-hmm. But there's a real and wonderful twist that you cannot see coming. And when you read the epilogue, it all comes together. So don't read it first. You have to read it last, and you'll be so happy that you did.
Well, I love that. So you heard it here first, and make sure you let us know. Come on back to the show after you've read the book and tell us what you thought about the surprise. That's great. Now, you know, one of the questions that you ask is, what would you do if you only had today? I find that a very powerful question. And is that where the slogan "Live Impossibly" comes from, or is it something completely different? Where did you come up with this?
Well, the slogan "Live Impossibly" is basically, I love when people challenge me and say, "Oh, you can't do that." I love hearing those words "can't" because it really fires me up.
I get it.
And I've lived my whole life like that. My mother said that she knew I was gonna be a difficult child to raise because I came out butt first. And I have gone through my life just sort of doing things my way and finding, different ways to go about things. So I do everything a little bit backwards, but I get the most out of life that way. And so I really like to invite the impossible into my life so that I can find ways to make it possible. And as I mentioned before, or as you mentioned, there's a lot of things that I've gone through in my life that were basically impossible situations. And so when I ask people, what would you do if today was your last day? Because forever really is today. Yesterday
Right.
is finished and tomorrow is not promised.
Yeah.
And I think that for myself, I like to ask that question because it's all about forgiveness. And if you only had today, wouldn't you want to forgive all the people who've hurt you, and wouldn't you want to be forgiven? So I think that that's a really powerful thing.
So true. And especially in this world that we're living in right now, where you
Mhm.
just don't know from moment to moment um, who might be afflicted by the virus or what might happen tomorrow. So I really love that question. And I really love the fact that we should live in the moment. Another thing that you say that I'm just fascinated with is that you have this whole thing, thoughts about failure. Do you like failure? Do you not like failure? Do you think we should fail our way to success? What does failure mean to you?
Be an epic failure, everyone. It's like, bring it on. Again, it's through our failures that we learn. So
Mhm.
I don't think of failure as negative at all. And I think so many people are afraid of failure that they're actually missing out on a whole life for themselves. So many experiences and opportunities to grow, learn, achieve, and to become successful. You must try things. You've got to get out of your comfort
Yep.
zone. You've got to start saying yes and opening up new doors, new horizons. And I'm just really passionate about demonstrating that and talking to people about that and shaking them a little bit and waking them up and
Right.
saying, life is happening right now, today. And you just, if there's something that you want to do, if there's something that you've always wanted to
Yeah.
experience, just go out there and do it. And your
I love
whole
it.
life is going to change for the
I love
better.
I agree with you. I like to say failure wasted to success. If you're not failing, you're doing something wrong because you
Mhm.
grow. We're talking to Janet-Lynn about her new book, and I just wanted to put it up on the screen. It's called Forever is Today. There will be a link that goes into the comments in just a second if you want to go pick up a copy. I know you do. It's an amazing book, so go check it out. And we're going to just keep on going. I can see that the book is actually sitting in the comments right now. So I always like to ask the authors, how many hours a day do you write? And you already told me that you just kept going and going and going. If you were to go and write another book at this point, how many hours do you put in every day?
Well, I actually do have a book on the go right now. It's in the editing phase, and it's going to be my first nonfiction book, and it's going to have a global impact, and I'm really excited about it. So, in order to keep on with the fresh ideas, I try to minimize my writing time to about 2 hours per day.
Mhm.
And the most important thing for me is just consistency, to just do it every day. So some days I might go a little over, and some days it might be a little less, but I make sure I write every day.
And I think that that's it. The consistency is what gets that book out there, right?
Yeah,
I mean that
totally.
yeah, exactly. Um, so does writing energize you? I already know the answer to this. Does writing, because I just can tell, does writing energize you or does it exhaust you?
Caren, everything that I set out to do every day is something that energizes my soul and
Mm,
that just fills me up. If it's not going to do that, then I'm not going to do it.
I
So
love
it
those.
definitely does. And it's just sometimes you can be tired once you've really put something out there, but the effort and the fatigue, it's a wonderful feeling and it is energizing. It's energizing to feel that way. It feels so good. It's like, look what I just did. And you can just really be happy about accomplishing something.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Do you have people asking you like, what tips can you give me about writing a book? I'm going to put you up on the screen solo so that you can just take over right now. And what is one of those tips or two tips that you'd like to share if somebody is thinking, I want to write a book? What would you tell them?
Okay. Hi. One of the tips that really helps me if I'm writing something that's fiction is I try to imagine that I'm watching a movie. I love movies. And so I will go scene by scene in my mind and I'll just start writing and then it just sort of opens up. So it's really a wonderful thing to do. If it's nonfiction, I think that the biggest thing that I can tell you that will help you, and it has helped me a lot, you need to believe in yourself. And it's okay if you didn't get your arm bitten off by a shark. And it's okay if you didn't have something major happen to you in your life. It's not about that. It's about knowing that you have been through a lot of different things and you and you have something that you want to share with the world and you need to do it. So believe in yourself and just write.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
Totally, totally love that. Um, do you do anything quirky when you're writing your books?
Well, I think that I'm usually writing in the wee hours of the night. That's when I find my creative side is
That's
on
quirky.
fire. So I probably do a lot of different things that I'm not aware of. But again, I'd really like to see the book as a movie. And I like to close my eyes and imagine that I'm that person and just come up with some really fun things. And I'd say that's kind of quirky.
So, what is the last book you read? Or maybe more importantly, what was the best book you read during quarantine? Because we're in quarantine.
The best book that I read is written by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's something about breaking your habits. I read so much. I don't even remember the exact title, but Dr. Joe Dispenza, I read a lot of nonfiction books, and I think it's just a marvelous book. So you
You're a
should pick it
personal
up.
development person. I read a lot of personal development and stuff like motivational books, and I happen to agree with you on that. Do you have a favorite childhood book?
When I was a child, I was reading books that I shouldn't have been reading, most likely. I had a thing for Stephen King books. I have this other side of me that is just
Oh.
the allure of strange happenings and dark things. It interests me and it just helps me to, I think, deal with all the things in life that aren't wonderful. It just helps me to sort of take them all in. And I just like the imagination part of it and just losing myself in the unreality of Stephen King's mind and his amazing ideas.
Well, you and my son. My son is a huge Stephen King follower. I think he's read every single book that Stephen King has written. Um, I'm interested. I'm interested if, people hear about writer's block, right? We hear all the time, oh, I have a writer's. What does that actually mean? Is that when you sit down and literally no words can come out? What does it mean to you? And what do we tell people if they're saying, oh, I have writer's block. What am I going to, I can't write.
I'm going to get into trouble here, but I don't believe in writer's block.
There you go.
That it's an excuse. And if you do feel like it's real for you, that's okay. But I would really love to have you push through it and really fill yourself up with something that energizes you. Listen to some music. If dancing's your thing, then do a little dance, get some ice cream, go cook something up in the kitchen, have a glass of wine, go out for a jog, just do something and come right back to it and just push through that barrier that feels like writer's block. And it works every time, I guarantee it.
So there are many different ways that people can get in touch with you and they can follow you. The first thing, I want to make sure that people go and visit your website. It's beautiful. And they would go to www.janet-lynn.com. And then there are lots of other ways that people can get in touch with you. So I'm going to go ahead and put the social media up on the screen, and I'm going to put it on solo. And the reason why I'm doing that is that all of these links, by the way, guys who are watching right now, and even on replay, those links are going to go into the comments. And on Twitter, you can follow Janet-Lynn at Janet_Lynn 2020. You can also follow her on Facebook at Janet-Lynn 2020. And finally, on Instagram, you can follow Janet-Lynn on Instagram at Janet-Lynn Morrison. So lots of different ways to get in touch with Janet-Lynn. As I like to say, you're everywhere. And the other thing that I really want people to take a look at is that we have that link that I put over there for your book. We put some other things in this box of cool things like a Kindle reader, because your book is on Kindle and people can go get the Kindle white paper and they can read it on Kindle. They can also get the paperback because you are on different kinds of ways for people to get their media. Is there anything that you would like to share with our audience that we have not touched upon that you feel is important about the book and about you?
Sure. First of all, I just wanted to say quickly that it's going to be available on Audible as well. It will be later in February and early March. And
make sure you get that to me, Janet-Lynn, and we will put it into all the information so people can go listen to an Audible. That's exciting. Congrats.
Yeah, it's my voice, and there's a part of the book that my daughter reads, which is really neat.
Oh, nice.
And then there is a portion of the book at the beginning. So if you do happen to order the book, it explains the augmented reality experience, which is quite new. It's come to publishing, and Hasmark is the first to have it. And you can download an app onto your phone, and you'll get an augmented reality experience. And again, it's my voice and my daughter. So I think that's really exciting. And something that I want to share with everyone too is a lot of people don't know this about me, but I'm also a classical pianist and I just love classical music. And I also run, and running is something that just to give a little bit of background on that, I'm not a runner. I've always done sports and fitness, and I love that. And I was that person that used to see people driving by, and I'd be driving by and I think, look at that person running. Like, how can they do that? And secretly, I really wanted to be like them. And many times throughout my life, I've tried to go for a little jog here and there, and I'm more of a sprinter, and I've just thought, there's no way. So something that people don't know about me, and I wanted to just put it out there into the world, and it's that I want to run in the Boston Marathon. So I started training last Mother's Day, and I've been running almost every day since, and I'm up to a very comfortable 25 kilometers, and I'm getting there. So I'm very excited about that.
And I think that goes in alignment with what you were saying about failure. And that is that you should just do it. You shouldn't worry about the failure, because with the failure comes success. And so even though you had never run before or competitive, you are doing it. And whether you come in first or last, it doesn't matter, because you have done it. And that is such an important message for me personally. I live by that, and thank you for sharing that with everyone else. People always say, how do I get in touch with Caren and all that? So I'm going to put all of my stuff up there and put it up on Solo. You can connect with Caren Glasser on Caren Glasser Live Facebook. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Caren Glasser. And you can connect with me on Twitter, I know, at Caren Glasser. It's so original, at Caren Glasser. I want to thank all of our viewers for joining us today, because you have a choice as to where you spend your time, and we are eternally grateful that you chose to spend it with Janet-Lynn and myself today. I hope that you had a good time. I know that you did. Go out and tell a friend about the show. And, you know what? I completely forgot to mention something, because this is really, really exciting. Caren Glasser is now on the Roku channel. How cool is that? There is a link in the comments. Go ahead and click on it, because you add it to your Roku channel. And now you can watch Janet-Lynn on the Roku channel, along with all the other amazing guests. Go out and give someone an awesome day. Janet-Lynn, you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll see you next time on the